Welcome. Come in. Lie down. Let the weight of the day and everything the day was finally be allowed to set itself down. I am so glad you are here. My name is Clara, and I am going to be with you tonight for as long as you need, not rushing, not watching the clock, not asking you to arrive at any particular state before you are ready. Just here, steady and patient, on your side in every way that matters as we move through this night together. I want you to know something before we go anywhere. Whatever you brought with you into this room tonight, the tension in your shoulders, the knot in your chest, the low hum of worry that has been running beneath everything all day, the specific weight of whatever it is that stress and anxiety have been making of your hours, all of it is welcome here. You do not have to hide it. You do not have to be further along in the letting go than you are. You only have to be here exactly as you are and let what is about to happen simply happen at whatever pace your body and your mind are ready to allow. Stress and anxiety are words we use almost interchangeably sometimes, but they are actually two slightly different things, and I think it is worth naming the difference before we begin, because understanding what you are actually working with tonight changes how you approach it. Stress, at its core, is the body's response to external pressure. The accumulation of demands placed on you by the world, by your work, by the people in your life, by the pace at which modern life insists on moving. Stress is the feeling of too much coming at you, the body mobilized in response to a load that keeps arriving. Anxiety is something slightly different. It is the nervous system's anticipation of threat, often in the absence of a specific present danger. Anxiety is the body preparing for something that may or may not be coming, generating the physiological signals of alarm without necessarily having a specific alarm to point to. Anxiety is the hum, the low-grade readiness, the sense that something is wrong even when you cannot name what it is. Both of these, the accumulated pressure of stress and the anticipatory alarm of anxiety, live in the body. They are not abstract. They are not merely in the mind. They are in the shoulders that will not drop, in the chest that keeps pulling tight, in the jaw that grinds in the night, in the stomach that clenches when the phone lights up. They are physical. They are real. And they respond to physical invitation. They respond to the body being told patiently and with real authority, you are safe now. You are allowed to release. The day is over, and the threat, whatever the nervous system has been preparing for all this time, is not here tonight. So let us begin with the body, because the body is where this night has to begin. Wherever you are lying right now, whatever position you have found, whatever combination of pillow and blanket and mattress you have settled into, I want you to let yourself go just a little more deeply into it, not adjusting, not fidgeting, not trying to find the perfect position, just letting the position you are already in receive a little more of your weight, a little more of your trust, a little more of the willingness to be held. Feel the mattress beneath you. It is doing something right now that it asks no credit for and requires no supervision to accomplish. It is supporting the entire weight of you, every pound of this body that has been carrying so much today, receiving it without complaint, meeting it evenly and completely, not buckling, not shifting, just being there in the steady, reliable way that the best kind of support always is. You are held. That is a physical fact right now, not a metaphor. You are being physically held by the surface beneath you, and that physical holding is available to you as a real, sensory, bodily experience if you let yourself actually feel it. Not think about it, but feel it. The weight pressing down, the surface pushing back, the balance between them, which is the experience of being supported. Feel that. Let your eyes settle into their closed position, the eyelids soft and heavy, not scrunched or strained, but simply resting in the way that tired things rest when they are finally given permission to. Take a breath in now, slow and deliberate. Not a performance of breathing, not a demonstration of correct technique, just a genuine deepening of the breath you are already taking. Letting the air come all the way in, letting the chest expand with it and the belly soften outward and the lower rib cage widen on the sides. And then let it out. All the way, the belly falling, the chest releasing, the shoulders dropping just a fraction further than they were. Notice what the exhale does. Notice how the body is slightly different at the end of the out-breath than it was at the beginning of the in-breath. Fractionally softer, fractionally lower, fractionally more released. This is not nothing. This is the body doing the very thing we are here to help it do, demonstrating with each breath that release is available, that it is built into the very rhythm of being alive, that the letting go is not something you have to manufacture, but something you only have to allow. Another breath, in, slow and full, letting the belly rise, and out, long and easy, letting the belly fall. And with this exhale, I want you to try to release something specific, not a thought, not a worry, not a to-do item, but a physical holding. See if there is anywhere in your body right now that is contracted, gripping, bracing against something. The jaw, perhaps, pressing the teeth together in that way that stress makes habitual. The hands, perhaps, faintly curled even in repose. The fingers not quite willing to fully open. The space between the shoulder blades, perhaps, or the belly that keeps pulling in slightly even when there is nothing to pull away from. Find one place, just one, and with the next exhale, direct that breath to it. Breathe into the place that is holding and let the exhale carry a small thread of the holding away with it when it goes. Just a thread, not a dramatic release, not a total transformation. Just one thread of tension going with the breath, leaving the body fractionally more open than it was. That is enough. That is how this works. Not all at once, but thread by thread, breath by breath, one small release at a time. I want to travel through your body now, slowly, the way you might walk through a house at the end of the night, moving from room to room, turning off the lights, making sure everything is settled and at rest. Starting at the very top of your head, the scalp, the temples, the muscles across the forehead that have been expressing the day's concerns and the small, constant movements of concentration and worry. Let the scalp loosen. Let the forehead go entirely smooth. Not blank, not empty, just smooth, the way a face looks in genuine sleep, without the micro-contractions that emotion and effort and attention create when the mind is working. Let the space between your brows widen and soften. Let the eyes rest completely in their sockets, the muscles that move them releasing their slight readiness, the gaze behind the closed lids going inward and diffuse rather than focused. There is nothing to look at right now. There is nothing to watch for. The eyes are allowed to rest in the simplest and most complete way, down through the cheeks and the jaw. And here I want to spend a moment because the jaw is one of the body's primary stress storage sites. The masseter muscles that run along the sides of the jaw are among the strongest muscles in the body relative to their size, and they respond to stress with remarkable faithfulness, contracting subtly and persistently in ways that most people are entirely unaware of until the dentist points it out or the morning headache begins to explain itself. Check your jaw right now. Are the teeth touching? Is there any pressure between the upper and lower jaw? Let the jaw fall open just slightly, just the tiniest crack, just enough for the teeth to part, just enough for the tongue to settle heavy and low in the floor of the mouth, just enough for those faithful, stressed muscles to feel the absence of the demand they have been meeting all day. Let the mouth be soft. Let the whole lower face be soft. The chin, the throat, the muscles of the neck that stiffen when the jaw clenches and ease when it releases. Softer and softer still. The neck now and the shoulders. And these two are almost always connected in the stress body. The neck tightening in sympathy with the shoulders rising in the perpetual, unconscious shrug that stress creates as though the body is permanently bracing for a blow that never quite lands. Notice where your shoulders are right now. Are they up, even slightly, even just a few millimeters higher than their fully relaxed position? If they are, and they likely are, because almost every person who lies down carrying the day's stress finds their shoulders elevated in some degree, let them drop. Not forced down, not pushed, not corrected, just released. The way you would release something you had been holding in a raised hand for a long time. Not throwing it, but simply opening the hand and letting gravity take it. Let the shoulders fall away from the ears and settle back and downward into the mattress, spreading, widening, letting the whole landscape of the upper back open and flatten and release. There. Feel that. Feel the difference between the shoulders a moment ago and the shoulders now. That difference, however small, is real, and it is progress, and the body registers it even when the mind is too tired and too busy to notice. Down through the upper arms, the elbows, the forearms, letting all of it go limp, the muscles there releasing their ambient readiness, the arms becoming just two heavy, warm, inert things lying at your sides or wherever they are resting, not holding anything, not prepared to do anything, just being there in the most passive and restful way possible. Your hands now, the hands that have been doing things all day, typing, carrying, touching, holding, the hands that are so expressive of whatever state the nervous system is in. Let the hands open. Let the fingers uncurl from whatever faint grip they are maintaining. Let the palms face upward if that is comfortable, or let them rest face down, but let them be open. Let them be soft. Let the space between the fingers be easy and the joints be loose. Hands that are open cannot grip, and gripping, the physical, literal act of gripping, is one of the body's primary expressions of stress. Open hands are the body saying, I am not holding on right now. I am not braced. There is nothing I am clutching, nothing I am defending, nothing that requires the readiness of a fist. Let the hands be open through the chest, and I want to breathe into the chest specifically for a moment, because stress changes the way we breathe in ways that matter. The stressed breath tends to be high and shallow, living in the upper chest, using the shoulders and the neck to expand rather than the diaphragm, the breath quick and incomplete, each inhale falling just a little short of a genuinely full breath, each exhale a little too brief to accomplish the full release that a long exhale can provide. This kind of breathing, shallow, high, fast, is itself a signal to the nervous system that something is wrong, that readiness is required, that the coast is not clear. And so the nervous system, receiving this signal, maintains its state of low-grade activation, which produces more shallow breathing, which produces more nervous system activation, in a loop that can persist through an entire day and into the night without ever quite being broken. We are going to break it now. Take a breath that is deliberately lower than the ones that came before it. A breath that starts in the belly, expands outward before it rises, fills the lower lungs before it fills the upper ones. Let the belly lead. Let the chest follow the belly, not the other way around. Feel the difference in that breath. Feel how much fuller it is, how much more completely it uses the available space. That fullness is not just physical. It carries a message to the nervous system, a direct, chemical, neurological message that says, we have enough air. We are not in danger. We can slow down. The belly and the stomach now, the gut, which is sometimes called the second brain and deserves that name because it is extraordinarily sensitive to everything the nervous system experiences. Anxiety lives in the gut with particular insistence. Stress tightens the stomach in ways that are immediately familiar to anyone who has felt the nauseating clench of acute stress or the low-grade, persistent tightening of chronic anxiety. Breathe into the belly now. Let it expand with the in-breath, soft and round and full. Let it fall completely with the out-breath, releasing all the way, the muscles of the abdomen going entirely soft. And with each breath, imagine the belly becoming a little less defended, a little less armored against the world, a little more willing to be open and soft and at ease. The threat that the gut has been responding to is not here tonight. The danger that the nervous system has been preparing for is not in this room. The belly is allowed to be soft. The stomach is allowed to unclench. The whole center of you is allowed to release the vigilant tightness it has been maintaining and simply rest, wide and open and easy, breathing in the slow and complete way that a body at genuine rest breathes. Down through the lower back, the lumbar spine, the deep muscles on either side of it, the hips. The lower back carries stress in its own particular way. The muscles there often holding a chronic, low-grade tension that becomes so familiar it is no longer perceptible as tension, but simply as the way the back feels until the day it becomes a problem. Let the lower back soften into the mattress. If you are lying flat, there is a natural curve there, a slight space between the lower back and the surface beneath you, and that space is perfectly normal, perfectly comfortable. You do not need to flatten it or exaggerate it. Just let it be natural. Let the muscles on either side of the spine stop their subtle gripping and simply rest. Through the hips, letting the joints there release, letting the weight of the legs be fully given over to the mattress rather than held even fractionally above it. Down through the thighs, the knees, the calves, the ankles, the feet. All of it growing heavier now, heavier and warmer, sinking further into the surface beneath it with every breath, every exhale pressing just a little more of you into the welcome and reliable support of the bed. Your whole body now, from the top of your head to the soles of your feet, has been invited to release, and some parts of it have accepted the invitation more readily than others, and that is exactly as it should be. The body releases at its own pace, in its own order, on its own timetable, and the right response to the parts that are still holding is not frustration or effort or the attempt to force a release that has not yet arrived, but simply the continued, patient, unhurried offer of the invitation. You are safe here. Nothing is being demanded of you. The holding can stop whenever it is ready to stop, and it will be ready a little sooner with each breath. A little sooner with each passing minute of this quiet and patient night. I want to talk to you about the nervous system for a little while because I think the people who struggle most with stress and anxiety at bedtime deserve more than just technique. They deserve understanding. The nervous system that is running in you right now, the one that has been creating the tension and the alertness and the inability to simply switch off, is not malfunctioning. It is doing exactly what it was designed to do. The human nervous system evolved over millions of years in an environment where stress meant genuine physical threat, a predator, a rival, a storm, a famine, where the right response to stress was immediate physical action, and where the mobilization of the body that stress creates was spent in running or fighting or climbing or doing whatever the situation demanded, and then, once the threat had passed, resolving back into rest. But the threats that the modern nervous system responds to are rarely the kind that can be resolved by running. A difficult email cannot be outrun. A financial worry cannot be fought. A relationship tension cannot be climbed away from. The stress we live with is almost entirely social and psychological and anticipatory, generated by minds that are remarkably good at imagining future problems and remarkably poor at distinguishing between an imagined threat and a physical one. And so the nervous system mobilizes for threats that never resolve through action. The stress hormones accumulate rather than being spent. The body stays activated long after the triggering event has ended, and the person lies awake at night in a state of physiological readiness that has nowhere to go. This is not weakness. This is not a personal failure. This is the mismatch between an ancient system and a modern world, and virtually everyone who lives a full, engaged, caring life in the 21st century experiences some version of it. The question is not whether the nervous system will respond to the demands of your life. It will, as it should, because you live a life that matters and involves things worth caring about. The question is whether you can, in the spaces between the demands, give the nervous system what it needs to complete its stress cycles and return to baseline. And what it needs more than anything else is exactly what we are doing right now, a genuine signal of safety, not a thought about safety, not the intellectual conclusion that things are probably fine, but a physical, sensory, embodied experience of the body being allowed to relax, to soften, to breathe deeply and slowly, to be warm and supported and held in a space where nothing is required of it. That signal, delivered patiently and consistently and without pressure to perform, begins to shift the chemistry, begins to lower the cortisol, begins to move the nervous system from the activated, stress-responsive state it has been in all day toward the calm, restorative, deeply needed state that will allow genuine sleep. Let your breath do this work now. Let each slow exhale be the signal, in through the nose, slow and full, and out through the mouth, long and slow and completely audible. The kind of breath that has real release in it, that carries something with it when it goes, that leaves the chest and the belly and the whole torso a fraction more open than they were before. And again, in, slow and full, out, long and releasing, letting the sound of the exhale be as long as it wants to be, not cutting it short, letting the body fully, completely, entirely exhale before the next breath is allowed to begin. And in that pause between the exhale and the next inhale, that still suspended moment, feel the quiet, just a fraction of a second. Just a breath length of stillness, but real stillness, real quiet. The body neither breathing in nor breathing out, but simply being. And in that being, there is something that feels, even briefly, even imperfectly, like rest. I want to take you somewhere now. Somewhere that the stressed and anxious body can sometimes go more easily than the mind expects. I want you to imagine an evening by the sea. Not a dramatic sea, not crashing waves and wild weather, but the sea in its quieter mood. A calm evening in late summer or early autumn. The water wide and flat and stretching to the horizon with a completeness that feels, when you look at it, like the visual representation of the word enough. The sky above the water is the color of the hour before sunset, a deep, layered blue above, shading into something warmer near the horizon, where the light is still present but no longer direct. The sun already behind you and gone. The sky keeping its color for a while in the way that the sky does, slowly and reluctantly releasing the light. You are standing at the edge of the water, not in it, but close, the very tips of the small waves reaching to within a foot of where you stand, the wet sand dark and firm beneath your feet. The air around you carrying that particular smell of the sea that is one of the most ancient and deeply calming smells that exists for the human nervous system. Salt and brine and the slight wildness of open water, the smell of something much larger and much older and much less troubled than anything you have been managing today. You breathe in that sea air now. Let it come all the way in, the salt of it real in the back of your throat, the coolness of it moving through the nostrils and down into the lungs, and let it out slowly, the exhale carrying with it something of the tightness and the weight and the held breath of the day. The sound of the water reaches you now in a steady rhythm, the gentle, rolling, completely regular arrival of small waves at the shore, each one a little different from the last in its particular shape and sound, but all of them part of the same endless, patient, utterly reliable pattern that the sea has been practicing since long before there was anyone to listen. This rhythm, the rhythm of waves, is one of the oldest calming sounds the human nervous system knows. It is not random. It is not chaotic. It is the deep, slow breathing of something much larger than any single person's anxiety, and it has a quality that the human ear recognizes even now, even in this modern and complicated life, as the sound of something fundamentally okay. You walk to the edge of the water and you sit down on the sand, and the sand is cool and fine and gives slightly beneath you in the most accommodating way, and the last of the day's warmth is still in the very top layer of it, the warmth that the sand absorbed from the sun through the long afternoon, now rising gently into your hands where they rest against it. The sea spreads out before you, enormous and still and entirely indifferent to everything that has made your day difficult, and that indifference is, surprisingly, a relief, because the sea does not know about the thing at work that has been worrying you. The sea does not know about the relationship tension or the financial uncertainty or the health concern or the accumulation of small stressors that have layered themselves into something that felt, by the end of today, like a weight you were not sure how much longer you could carry. The sea simply is. It simply continues, as it has for billions of years, doing the one thing it was made to do, which is to exist in its own vast, complete, utterly untroubled way, wave after wave, tide after tide, entirely beyond the reach of anything a human life can generate in the way of urgency or worry. Let the sound of the waves move through you now. Let the rhythm of them become your rhythm, the in and out of each wave matching itself to the in and out of your breath, so that the inhale arrives with the wave and the exhale releases with the water pulling back. In with the wave, and out as the water withdraws, the foam hissing softly into the sand. In and out. The sea is breathing with you, or you are breathing with the sea, and it does not matter which way around that is, because the effect is the same. The nervous system, which has been running at a frequency far too high for too long, is beginning to synchronize with something much slower and much calmer than itself, and in that synchronization, something is beginning to shift. You can feel it, not dramatically. This is not a sudden release, not a theatrical transformation, just a very quiet, very gradual dialing down. The hum that has been running beneath everything becoming a little quieter. The readiness that has been held in the body becoming a little less insistent. The whole long, effortful performance of a stressed day beginning to take its bow and leave the stage. I want to talk to you about the nervous system for a little while, because I think the people who struggle most with stress and anxiety at bedtime deserve more than just technique. They deserve understanding. The nervous system that is running in you right now, the one that has been creating the tension and the alertness and the inability to simply switch off, is not malfunctioning. It is doing exactly what it was designed to do. The human nervous system evolved over millions of years in an environment where stress meant genuine physical threat, a predator, a rival, a storm, a famine, where the right response to stress was immediate physical action, and where the mobilization of the body that stress creates was spent in running or fighting or climbing or doing whatever the situation demanded, and then, once the threat had passed, resolving back into rest. But the threats that the modern nervous system responds to are rarely the kind that can be resolved by running. A difficult email cannot be outrun. A financial worry cannot be fought. A relationship tension cannot be climbed away from. The stress we live with is almost entirely social and psychological and anticipatory, generated by minds that are remarkably good at imagining future problems and remarkably poor at distinguishing between an imagined threat and a physical one. And so the nervous system mobilizes for threats that never resolve through action. The stress hormones accumulate rather than being spent. The body stays activated long after the triggering event has ended, and the person lies awake at night in a state of physiological readiness that has nowhere to go. There is another layer to this worth naming because I think it adds something important to the compassion you can offer yourself tonight. The stress and anxiety you are carrying is almost never just about today. Today's meeting or today's conflict or today's financial worry or today's health concern is real, and it is the immediate surface of what you are feeling. But beneath it, in almost every person who lies awake with chronic stress, there is an accumulated layer, a history of days and weeks and sometimes years of the nervous system not quite completing its stress cycles, not quite returning to baseline, not quite getting the signal of safety for long enough to fully discharge what has built up. This is why the stress feels so heavy sometimes, heavier than the immediate circumstances seem to warrant, heavier than a rational assessment of today's specific challenges would justify. Because you are not just carrying today, you are carrying the residue of all the days that were not fully processed, all the nights that were not fully restful, all the stress that accumulated without adequate release. Knowing this changes the relationship with the anxiety. It means the anxiety is not evidence that something is catastrophically wrong right now. It is evidence that the nervous system is carrying a long-held load and has not yet had enough sustained safety to put it down. Tonight is one of the sustained moments of safety. Right now is one of those moments. And the load, however heavy and however long it has been carried, does get lighter when these moments are repeated with enough patience and enough gentleness. The exhale is the most powerful tool you have right now for communicating safety to the nervous system. This is not a metaphor, it is neurophysiology. The exhale activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the branch of the autonomic nervous system responsible for rest and digestion and recovery, the branch that is the physiological opposite of the stress response. A long exhale is literally a switch, not instantaneous, not dramatic, but real and consistent, shifting the nervous system away from the activated, cortisol-producing, sympathetically driven state it has been in and toward the calm, restorative, genuinely restful state that the body needs to heal and sleep and regenerate. You have been doing this with every breath we have taken together tonight, with every slow out-breath, with every extended exhale, with every breath where you let the out-breath go just a little longer than felt strictly necessary. You have been sending this signal. The effect is cumulative. Each exhale builds on the one before it. The nervous system is listening. It is receiving. It is updating, however slowly, however incrementally, its assessment of the safety of this moment. And it is moving, breath by breath, in the only direction that matters right now, which is toward rest. Take 3 long exhales right now. The first one, slow and full, letting the belly completely empty. The second one, even longer, as though you are pressing the last of the air out of the very bottom of the lungs. And the third one, longer still, slower still, the breath going out and out and out until the body is as empty as it can comfortably be, and you are resting in the pause at the bottom of the exhale. The pause that is the closest thing the waking body has to the stillness of sleep. Then let the next breath arrive on its own. Don't reach for it. Don't initiate it. Just let the body's natural reflex bring it in when it is ready. And notice how that breath arrives differently than a breath you have to effort into existence. Easier, fuller, more complete. More the breath of a body that is actually genuinely beginning to rest rather than one that is performing rest while still running underneath. That is where we are going tonight. That is what is happening. You can trust the direction. I want to stay with you here by the sea for a little while longer because I have something else to offer you tonight. Something that goes deeper than the sound of waves and the smell of salt air. Something that I believe reaches the place where stress and anxiety actually live, which is not just in the nervous system, but in the soul. Because here is what I have noticed. In all the time I have spent in the company of people who carry stress and anxiety at night, beneath the specific worries, beneath the particular content of the thoughts that loop and circle in the dark, there is almost always a more fundamental unease. A question, not always consciously held, that sounds something like, am I going to be okay? Not just financially, not just professionally, not just in the relationship or the health situation that is currently requiring so much energy, but fundamentally, ultimately, at the deepest level. Am I okay? Is something holding me? If things go wrong in ways I cannot control, which they sometimes do, is there anything beneath me that will not give way? This is the question that lies at the heart of most anxiety, and it is a question that relaxation techniques, however skillfully applied, cannot ultimately answer. But I know something that can. You are loved. Not in a general, impersonal way. Not in the way that a philosophy might say all people have value, which is true but can feel abstract and distant when it is the middle of the night and the anxiety is real and close. But personally, specifically, the kind of love that knows your name, knows the particular shape of your worry, knows the specific history of everything that has made you the person you are, with the stresses you carry and the fears you hold and the hopes you have not quite let yourself believe in fully. Jesus said, "Do not be anxious about anything." He said, "I am with you always." He said, Consider how the birds of the air neither sow nor reap nor gather into barns, yet your heavenly Father feeds them. How much more will he care for you? This is not a dismissal of your worry. Jesus never dismissed anyone's difficulty. He sat with people in their pain. He wept with those who wept. He took the reality of human suffering entirely seriously. But he also said, again and again, in every way he could, "You are not alone in this. You are not unseen in this. The weight you are carrying is known, every ounce of it, every specific burden, and it is known by someone who is not overwhelmed by it, who is not out of resources, who has not run out of care. Cast your anxiety on him because he cares for you." This is an invitation to do the most practical thing imaginable, which is to take the specific, named, real anxiety you are carrying right now, the thing that has been tightening your chest and gripping your stomach and keeping your mind running when you most need it to rest, and to place it deliberately and with your whole intention into hands that are large enough to hold it, not to pretend it away, not to spiritually bypass the reality of the difficulty, but to say honestly and simply, "This is too heavy for me alone tonight. I need something larger to hold it while I rest." And the answer to that has always been the answer to that is, give it here. I have you. I have this too. Jesus loves you. Not the version of you that has everything together, not the version that handles stress gracefully and never lies awake at night, not the version that is fully rested and functioning at full capacity, but this version right here, in this bed, with this anxiety, on this night, carrying exactly what you are carrying. This version, this night, this anxiety, all of it is known, and none of it has diminished by even the smallest fraction the love that is available to you right now if you are willing to receive it. There is something called grace, and it is the most disorienting and the most liberating concept that exists for the person whose anxiety is rooted in the question of whether they are doing enough, being enough, measuring up. Grace says, the measurement has already been made, and the verdict was love, not earned, not conditional, not requiring anything more from you before it is extended. The cross, the central fact of the faith that carries this message, is the demonstration that the love does not wait for you to be less anxious or more together or further along in the healing. The love goes first. The love goes all the way. And what is left in the space that grace opens is not the pressure to earn what has already been given, but the freedom to rest in what is already true. You are saved from the weight of having to hold everything yourself. You are saved from the exhausting, impossible, anxiety-generating project of securing your own okayness through sufficient performance and sufficient worry and sufficient preparation. The security you have been trying to generate through the very anxiety that is keeping you awake tonight, that security already exists. It was placed there not by your effort, but by a love that preceded your effort and will outlast it. You can stop the generating. The security is already there. Let that land wherever it can land tonight. In the chest, perhaps, where something loosens around a held breath. In the stomach, perhaps, where the chronic grip softens around the recognition that something else is doing the holding. In the mind, perhaps, where the loop of worry finds, just for a moment, an interruption, not because the worry has been solved, but because it has been acknowledged and placed somewhere larger than itself. Breathe into that space. Whatever opened in you in the last few minutes, however small, however tentative, breathe into it. Let the breath be larger than it was before. Let the chest be wider. Let the belly be softer. Let the whole body take in the specific quality of air that is available in a moment when something has been genuinely, even briefly, released. You are loved. You are held. Not by the mattress only, not by the walls of the room only, but by something that does not require darkness or quietness or the right conditions to be present. Something that is here in the middle of the night and the middle of the anxiety and the middle of the hardest season you have ever been in, equally and without any reduction at all. Let your attention come back gently to the sea now, back to the sound of the waves, the smell of the salt air, the dark sand cool beneath your hands. The sea is still here. The rhythm is still the same. The sky above the water is fully dark now, the stars appearing one by one in the way they always appear. The brightest first, and then the dimmer ones as the eye adjusts and the night deepens until the whole sky is full of them. Thousands upon thousands of points of light reflected in the dark water below, so that you seem to be sitting between two skies, the one above and the one below, surrounded entirely by the vast and patient light of things that have been burning for longer than the mind can hold. You are very small in this moment, in the most comforting sense of that word. Small enough to be held, small enough for the specific weight of your specific worries to be carried by something larger than yourself, small enough that the enormity of what surrounds you makes the enormity of what you have been carrying feel more proportionate, more manageable, more survivable than it did when you were inside it without this perspective. Let your attention come back gently to the sea now, back to the sound of the waves, the smell of the salt air, the dark sand cool beneath your hands. The sea is still here. The rhythm is still the same. The sky above the water is fully dark now, the stars appearing one by one in the way they always appear, the brightest first, and then the dimmer ones as the eye adjusts and the night deepens, until the whole sky is full of them. Thousands upon thousands of points of light reflected in the dark water below, so that you seem to be sitting between two skies, the one above and the one below, surrounded entirely by the vast and patient light of things that have been burning for longer than the mind can hold. You are very small in this moment, in the most comforting sense of that word. Small enough to be held, small enough for the specific weight of your specific worries to be carried by something larger than yourself. Small enough that the enormity of what surrounds you makes the enormity of what you have been carrying feel more proportionate, more manageable, more survivable than it did when you were inside it without this perspective. I want to say something about the specific texture of the anxiety you carry at night, because I think being spoken to directly, not generally, not theoretically, but in the actual language of the experience, sometimes opens something that more indirect approaches cannot reach. You know the particular quality of nighttime anxiety. It is different from the daytime version in important ways. In the day, there are things to do in response to the anxiety, people to call, tasks to complete, problems to move on, motion to generate, and the motion, however insufficient, at least provides the nervous system with the outlet it was designed for. But at night, there is nothing to do. The responses that are available in daylight are unavailable in the dark. The world is closed. The people you need to reach are sleeping. The problems that feel so pressing cannot be addressed until morning at the earliest, and so the anxiety that would have expressed itself in action during the day turns inward and circulates, amplified by the stillness, amplified by the darkness, amplified by the way that the mind at night, without the moderating input of the external world, tends toward the catastrophic interpretation of everything it touches. This is the specific suffering of nighttime anxiety, and it is real, and it is not a personal failure that you experience it. It is the almost universal experience of anyone whose nervous system is activated and whose environment has removed the safety valve of action. What we are doing right now is providing a different kind of outlet, not action, but release, not doing, but allowing, and it is working. Even if it does not feel like it is working from the inside, it is working. The body does not lie about these things. Think for a moment about what the body is doing right now that has nothing to do with the anxiety. Your heart is beating, steady, reliable, completely autonomous, pumping blood through 60,000 miles of blood vessels without any supervision or assistance from the anxious mind. Your lungs are breathing more slowly now than when we began, the diaphragm moving in the smooth, regular arc of deepening relaxation. Your digestive system is continuing its work, processing and absorbing and moving things along in the patient, unhurried biological processes that continue through the night, regardless of whether the conscious mind is quiet. Your immune system is working. Your liver is working. Your kidneys are working. The cells of your body are doing the unimaginably complex, perpetually ongoing work of being alive, repairing, regenerating, maintaining the 10,000 simultaneous processes that make up a living body, continuing with complete reliability, whether you are relaxed or tense, whether you are asleep or awake, whether the anxiety is loud or quiet. All of that continues. All of that is trustworthy. The body, in its most fundamental operations, is not anxious at all. It is simply, faithfully, competently alive. You can rest on that foundation tonight. The body knows what it is doing. You can let it. Think for a moment about what the body is doing right now that has nothing to do with the anxiety. Your heart is beating, steady, reliable, completely autonomous, pumping blood through 60,000 miles of blood vessels without any supervision or assistance from the anxious mind. Your lungs are breathing more slowly now than when we began, the diaphragm moving in the smooth, regular arc of deepening relaxation. Your digestive system is continuing its work, processing and absorbing and moving things along in the patient, unhurried biological processes that continue through the night, regardless of whether the conscious mind is quiet. Your immune system is working. Your liver is working. Your kidneys are working. The cells of your body are doing the unimaginably complex, perpetually ongoing work of being alive, repairing, regenerating, maintaining the 10,000 simultaneous processes that make up a living body, continuing with complete reliability, whether you are relaxed or tense, whether you are asleep or awake, whether the anxiety is loud or quiet. All of that continues. All of that is trustworthy. The body, in its most fundamental operations, is not anxious at all. It is simply, faithfully, competently alive. You can rest on that foundation tonight. The body knows what it is doing. You can let it. I want to say something to you about tomorrow because the anxious mind almost always has something to say about tomorrow, and I want to speak to it before it speaks too loudly. Tomorrow is real. Its demands are real. The things it will require of you are real, and they are not going to disappear because you chose to rest tonight. If anything, as I have said before and will say again because it bears repeating, they will be more manageable tomorrow for the rest you chose tonight. But here is what I want to offer, specifically and directly, to the part of you that cannot quite let tomorrow go. The worry you are doing right now about tomorrow is not preparation for tomorrow. It does not make tomorrow